Really great turnout. Great to see that we again have a majority of the candidates coming to our forums. Last week we had short notice on the one in Grand Ronde. I think Cheryl was out of state and Steve was out of the country. Steve Bob was, may not be here, he may be here. Kathy was Chip's birthday. So glad to see that this today worked out better. We do have another forum scheduled for next Saturday at 1 o'clock in Eugene. It will be at the same church where we had it last year. I believe it's called the Accession Church. Is that, Brenda, what's the name of the church again?
Grace Community.
Grace, I'm sorry. I'm way off. So Grace Community, I'll post it on Facebook tonight, but we'll start that at 1 o'clock this week because it's about a 2-hour drive from the GR and Portland and everywhere else that is down there. So we'll probably start at 1. Is that what you had a reserve for, 1, or what?
I reserved it for 12, but I can switch it.
That's fine. Well, do the candidates here feel like 12 o'clock? Is that enough time for you all to get to Eugene?
Fine for me.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and keep it 12 then, and then it shortens the day. So we're gonna the format, as you recall from last week, and Cheryl and Kathy, as you guys have participated in the past. I try to moderate and ensure that everybody gets about an equitable amount of time to speak and answer questions. With 5 candidates, we may not have you answer every question that comes out because with only 2 hours, it could take us a half an hour a question. And so we want to try and make sure we get to the questions in the audience. But I will try to, I'll get your question here in a second. I will try to be equitable and make sure that everybody gets about the same amount of time to speak to, to their campaigns. Kathy, question?
So are you going to be timing the candidates?
Yes. So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes of response, and then you'll hear me do this to wrap up. If you're really getting into it and just lose track of time, I'll tap on the mic to just remind you to try to wrap it up. We're going to kick off with a question from the PAC, and then we'll turn it over to the audience. Last week, we talked a lot about economic development, disenrollment. I think this year we want to talk a little bit about services to tribal members outside of the Grand Ronde community to lead off the PAC. We've seen over the years the services to folks that are located outside of Grand Ronde ebb and flow. The high point was probably when we had both satellite offices in Portland and Eugene. We still have one in Portland, but the services that are offered there are limited and diminished over recent years. And I think that's a lot of concern to our membership and other membership that live outside of Grand Ronde. And we'd like to hear from you all why or what you propose to do if elected to increase the number of services to folks outside of Grand Ronde. And I'll also give Cheryl and Kathy, if you guys want to lead off with a bit of an opening statement. The other 3 gave it last week, so I don't want them to have to repeat themselves, but if you 2 want to lead off with a quick opening statement, that would be fine as well. But our question is from the PAC will be, how do you plan to increase and sustain services to tribal members outside of Grand Ronde? So,
I'm Cheryl Kennedy. I've been serving on council for a few years and have observed and participated in a lot of different types of venues. Depending on those who are kind of in charge, I guess, that really influences how the tribal council sets their agenda. There is presently no formal legislative agenda that the tribal council addresses. So I know that as far as when I was in the chair's seat, I really worked hard at trying to set a legislative agenda so that it was clear to the tribal council and it could be presented to the membership along with the budget. It's true that there has been somewhat of a diminishment of services to non-members, and I think that the balance that I seen, or at least I was hoping to achieve then, was in the area of per capita. It is the one area that all members contribute with. So that was something that, you know, I hopefully will keep in a little more balance the way that the revenues from Grand Ronde are spent. That's my response to that. But the things that I want to focus on are really cultural resources. I'm a firm believer that we are a distinct group of people. We are set aside through eons of time to bring us to where we are today, and that's because we are Native American people with a unique heritage. We aren't a company, we're not an organization, we are not a club, we are a tribe composed of Indian people from our areas. So cultural resources to me are the backbone of our tribe. That without that, you know, we could just be a company. We could be a business. But I want to focus on cultural ways that allowed us to survive through eons of time. Those sovereignty issues, those food sovereignty issues, including the environment that allows the things that we survived on, the plants, the foods, the fish, the big game, all of that is because the environment was healthy and produced sufficient food for us to live in large areas. We know that our tribe inhabited a vast land. It also had hundreds of thousands of people at one time. And so this land supported that. We were known as a wealthy people because we had a lot of foodstuffs. Now that we see that there are pollution that is occurring at some of the highest rates in the world, it's really to the tribal detriment that all of this pollution is taking place, whether it's the water, whether it's the air, whether it's the land and the pollution that's going on there. I believe that as an individual and as a tribe, that we have to devote more energy and more resources to our environment. So not only that, in knowing how to deal with cooking, preparing, gathering, all of these foodstuffs is very important. I not only look at how our tribe is dealing, but we are a global, we live in a global world today. And so when we see that there are pending and looming disasters, wars, those kind of things, we have to know and be prepared and educate our people on how to gather plants, how to eat from the land, and how to take care of our health needs from the yield of the earth that we live in. So that's really, I think, the backbone of where I believe in our sovereignty issues are paramount.
First, I'd like to say thank you for having this, Brian. I think this is a really important part, one of an important part of getting information to tribal members. I want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to note that I only have my sunglasses and I forgot my glasses, so these are prescriptions, so from time to time you'll see me put these on because I can't see any of you right now. So, back to your question about services outside of Grand Ronde. You know, the ABCs and the 2Ps, for those folks that weren't around during those times, we thought it was really important to reach out to the tribal membership throughout the state. We went and visited different places where there was large groups of tribal members, and I think we've gotten away from that. I think everything has been centrally located back to Grand Ronde, and I think that there are many ways to connect to the tribal membership outside of Grand Ronde. the innovative thinking at that time was to open up offices, and I still support opening up offices down there to support the tribal members in all of the programs that we have in Grand Ronde. I think that the financially, we should be able to afford that. We did before. I think that too, it could be a great economic development to purchase a building and rent out the other spaces like we do our Portland building. So I'm very supportive of reaching out to the tribal membership. The other part is we need to get going here in the 21st century in regards to how we communicate with tribal membership. There's so many social media ways to connect to the membership, and tribal council needs to get up to that 21st century. I think our Facebook, our website, all needs to be really scrutinized and make it more user-friendly so people can find what they need to know and stay connected. Our calendars should be updated every day. They're not. They need to be getting people involved in the events, not a week after the event. But I think there's many ways that we could do that. And so just a little bit about myself. Kathleen Tom, I was tribal council for 9 years. Last year I didn't win my re-election. However, I still stay connected to what to the tribe. I'm very concerned about it right now. And my hope is to get re-elected and be that voice for the people, that their voice does count, that I am listening to you all, and that decisions are made based on what is good for all of us and not just some of us. So thank you for being here today.
Well, I live in Eugene. I have lived in Eugene for the past 21 years, I believe, since my husband retired from the military. So, of course, I'm familiar with the Eugene Satellite Office. I was actually the one who opened it. I learned early on that I felt like tribal council wasn't invested in it. So I knew that it was going to come to an end. So what I think is I would like to have that office opened back up, but I would like to have it opened up with some clear guidelines, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, how we're going to fund it. And one of the ways that I think we could fund it is by grants. You can write language grants so we can get our language down there, and in that grant would include and pay for someone to actually run the office. I think there's all kinds of ways we can open that office back up. It just needs to be done thoughtfully. I think reaching out to the communities around, we haven't had a general council meeting in Portland or Eugene or Vancouver or Bend for a long, long time, and I would like to see those come back. They were, I believe, well attended in Eugene. I'm not sure, I was never able to go to the Portland or Bend one. As Kathy mentioned, I'd like to see our website and updated daily. I had a tribal member tell me they went on there to find out what was going on, and there was just no mention of a major event that was happening. So I think that's very important, not to discourage our outside tribal members when they go on to find information and there's nothing there. I think we can also involve our outside tribal members with a mentorship program through the education department. We can hook up our students who are in high school or college who are looking for a certain field, hook them up with students who have already graduated in that field and have them mentor each other back and forth. And the mentorship can take place from long distance. So I think that's one of the greatest things we could do. We can, and then by doing that, we can also create a wonderful database in the education department that we've been asking for forever. So we can follow our students that are in college, and we can start bringing them back saying, hey, we have this position open, you know, would you be interested? And then I have this great idea down by the rodeo grounds where the park is. I would love to see us develop that, put maybe 10 RV spots there, advertise that to our outside tribal members. Hey, come back to the reservation for 2 weeks. Get your dental work done, get your medical work done, visit the reservation, get to know, you know, participate in craft classes. I think that would just be awesome. I have several other ways that I think that we could get tribal members involved, so if you want to pick my brain after this, go ahead.
Good morning, Ann Lewis. Can you hear me? Okay. And I've already done my story last week, so I'll just get right to the question. I'm in agreement as far as number one, per capita that goes to all tribal members, and I'm very supportive of the per capita because of that. It's the one resource that all tribal members get no matter where you're located. The other thing is I do believe that having an advocacy group established where tribal members can come in and speak to when they have a problem, because I know a lot of tribal members, they don't know who to reach out to. I've had them come to me or call me, text me, who do I speak to about this, who do I speak to about that, and if we actually had a location for the tribal members to reach out to, I think that would be a very good resource for tribal members who live in and outside the area. Also, education. I think there's nothing more we could do for our membership all over than make sure that they have every opportunity to grow and reach their highest potential. And I think that starts with education. Another area is, and this is something that I know Kathy has advocated for years, and that's that Boys and Girls Clubs. I would like to see a grant where no matter where you live, the tribe pays, and it's very cheap. It's like $5 a year or something, and our children can go to a Boys and Girls Club no matter where they live. I think that'd be very good. It's a great resource for children. Provides tutoring, they provide school supplies. All you have to do is be a member. And medical benefits. They should be equal across the board and ensure that our members are getting all the benefits they're entitled to. I kind of feel like sometimes some members get better benefits than others, depending on who you are. It should be equal across the board. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shlushan, Name John George. I want to thank you, PAC, once again this week for hosting this forum. When we look at that, we do have wonderful services for some of our members outside of that, health, education, our per capita. And I think the one thing that our members do look at is, and a connectedness to that is, to help with their self-sufficiency is per capita, to help them get by, but the question is then how can we do that? And I think in that sense we have to look at then other economic development type of businesses, if it be manufacturing, help creating jobs, for our members. Creating, and I thought of it too as, developing a business council outside of tribal council. A business council that can be made up of, I think, educated members from our tribe that have business backgrounds, have accounting backgrounds, have, areas of where they have expertise in that can be part of that as a voice to make these economic development decisions, and maybe even just have one council person sit on that board, but be it made up of a majority of persons, business people outside of the tribe. So that one thing, and that way then that we do look at that as raising revenues for that, so that it does give an opportunity for members to have a higher per capita distribution, from that. And so, that's one way we can look at that. And so I'm very supportive of looking at those areas for that. So thank you.
If you found out our tribe was doing something against the law, like fraud, what would you do? So I'll ask for a show of hands. Who wants to address that one first? Okay, go ahead.
That's a great question. I think that I truly believe that there has to be some kind of recourse. I think that a lot of recourse has been taken away from the membership as redress to some of the things that we see go on. And I believe that there needs to be some type of ordinance that talks about that and what the process would be. I think a lot of the ordinances don't align with processes. And so tribal members need to know where they go, because normally it's the highest you can go is tribal council, or you can go to the tribal court, but really that's a conflict of interest. So tribal members need to know if they need to go to the FBI or if they need to go to the whole county sheriffs, whatever the other part outside of the tribe needs to be. We need to know what that is, because there's a lot of tribal members that have asked those questions. When you see something that's not right, where do you go? I've even asked myself that question. Where do you go when you see something that's happening within our tribal government that really just doesn't set well? So I think that processes, I think there needs to be an ordinance. I think that policies need to be created to do that, and so that people know and understand that there is some recourse and redress to looking at fraud.
Fraud is a crime, and I think the responsibility to determine that the allegations are true falls upon law enforcement, whether that be the county or our own tribal police, or even venues like the Attorney General, who has federal say over issues. I know that in the past there have been folks who have gone directly to the Attorney General and got a response, and this was concerning tribal council years ago. Well, not so much tribal council, but the top executive. And folks tried to let the council know they thought that this was going on and nothing happened. And so they went to the Attorney General themselves. The U.S. Marshal also plays an important role. So there are avenues for members to seek remedies. However, again, it is not clear. And so sometimes you feel like you have to take matters into your own hands to get something like that done. But I agree with Kathy. An ordinance should be outlined, articulated well enough that our members will know what to do and what venue is appropriate to have the investigations done.
Going along those same lines, as far as the ordinances, it does have to have a structured venue for the membership to look at, and we have nothing right now. It certainly doesn't appear like we have anything. And one of the things that I addressed last week was having even the executive sessions recorded. I think we need to have those recorded so that we can go back and see what was said, what happened during those meetings. Right now, the work sessions, if they're in executive sessions, they're not recorded, and therefore there's nothing to fall back on to find out exactly what took place and why it happened. So I think that would be a good step to go towards making sure that our tribal council is held accountable. We have to be able to prove it, and if it's not recorded, there's no way to really do that.
Well, I also like the idea. I think that the last group in Grand Ronde had good discussion on to develop an ethics board. I thought that was somebody like an oversight, for on ethics, so that you do, those people that have a neutral mind or have no vested interest in, anyone. So that, in that sense, and I also, and after that, I thought about it also, and then looking at maybe that, like in court, they have a recorder. And so that somebody that would sit in there would actually like record the executive session meetings, so that it is there on that pipe. And then at what time do you present, the information, have that, because sometimes, we do have an executive session, certain things that we meet on, but then you would also present it. It would be presented to the membership at some time. So that I think in that idea, and which I thought was a good idea, because they actually have medical recorders now that go into your doctor's appointment when you have that there, and they sit there, so that it's actually, they're actually recording the meeting with the doctor, with the patient, so that the doctor does not, doesn't forget to, scribe something after the meeting and everything, so that it's all present right there in that time, and then it's there for information, so that it can be, put into the file after that. So that was my thought.
So I believe the question was, what would I do? Okay. So I believe that it starts with tribal council. They have to be committed. They have to hold themselves accountable. For me, I'm not going to participate in a crime or fraud. I just won't. So the first thing that I would do is I would address it with my team, with the tribal council. And I would make sure that I understand the confidentiality issues, all of our policies, our procedures, and I would encourage us as a tribal council to address it and to take care of it for the members. Now, if that wasn't the case, I would have to go elsewhere, because like I said, I'm not going to participate in a crime.